All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Shannon Reads 1099 Instructions. I had a special request come in today, so I'm going to bump our regularly scheduled 1099 NEC Box 1 instruction reading to talk about the W-9, which is the form that you need to know if you, or that you need to collect from people in order to know if you need to send them a 1099 or not. So I am going to share my screen. I've already gone to the IRS.gov website and typed W-9 in the search bar and come up to the About W-9 request for taxpayer identification number and certification. And then so you use a W-9 to provide the current tax ID number to the person who is required to fill out an informational return with the IRS to report, for example, income paid to you, real estate transactions, mortgage interest you paid, acquisition of abandoned or secured property, cancellation of debt, or contributions you made to an IRA. Most common is going to be for income paid to you or real estate transactions. Those are the most common reasons that people are going to request a W-9 from you. So the instructions for a W-9 haven't really changed much. So we're going to skip down to how do I know when to use a Form W-9? So you use a Form W-9 to request taxpayer identification number of a U.S. person, including a resident alien, and to request certain certifications and claims for exemptions. Withholding agents may require signed Form W-9s from U.S. exempt recipients to overcome a presumption of foreign status. Basically, most of the time you're requesting a form, it's going to be a Form W-9. However, if you're paying people for work that they did inside the United States, but they are a citizen and resident of a foreign country, you're going to need a Form W-8BEN for those. We're not going to talk about that today. I am just going to skip to actually, I am going to grab the form and walk through filling it out. All right. So box 1. Name as shown on your income tax return. The name is required on this line. Do not leave this line blank. So when you file your business tax return, what is the name on the tax return? We can come back to answering questions 1 and 2 after we answer question 3, because how we answer question 3 really kind of determines what we put on lines 1 and 2. So I'm going to skip ahead to 3, and I'll tell you what you need to put on lines 1 and 2 if you mark that you are an individual sole proprietor or single member LLC. If you fill this part out, then your name goes on box in line 1. Your business name goes on line 2. But let's say you mark that you're a C Corp. The business name is going to go on line 1. And the same thing if you fill out that you're an S Corp or a partnership. The business name is going to go on line 1. And nothing is going to go online too. A trust and estate has a little bit of different rules, and it depends on how it's set up. But most of the time, the trust name is going to go in box 1, and nothing is going to go on line 2. If you fill out that you're an LLC, then and one of these pertains to you, you will put that here. So you're either going to mark we're still to the part where we're only marking one of the following 7 boxes. So if you're an LLC, but you're a single member LLC and you have not elected S Corp status, the correct box for you to mark is this one. If, however, you are an LLC that has multiple members, you'll fill this part out. You'll put a P for partnership in this box. If you're a single member LLC and you've elected to be taxed as an S corporation, you'll check that box and put an S in here. If you're an LLC and you've elected to be taxed as a corporation, you'll put a C here. These first 5 boxes are only if you've originally set up your company as a corporation, whether it's a C Corp or an S Corp, if you're a partnership, but you're not a limited liability company. So I hope that answers how to fill this part out. I've actually never seen other be marked, but it says see instructions. I'm just gonna try and find that here. I will admit, I read the W-9 instructions a long time ago and learned how to fill it out. And I haven't really read them lately. Let's see. I don't see those in that part of the instructions in here. If I find it, I'll pop back on here and start answering that, or go in and answer why you would fill out the other box here. So line 1 always 100% of the time is filled out, and it is the name that's shown on your tax return. So let's just do an example here. So for me, let's say that I'm just a single member LLC with no election, my name will go here. My business name will go here with the LLC because that's how I'm set up. I will mark that. I will put in my business mailing address and put in the city, state, and zip. And there is a little bit of a controversy here on what to put in for your tax ID number. So the controversy is that if you mark individual sole proprietor or single member LLC, a lot of times the instructions are interpreted to read that you put your social security number here. However, I think that while I can see that that is technically true for filling out the instructions, I have a tax, I have an employer identification number that I use to protect my social security number. So I'm always going to put my social security or my tax ID number. I am never going to use my social security number. And that's where there's a little bit of a controversy, because while technically it is true to put your social security number if you're an individual sole proprietor or a single member LLC, the IRS issues sole proprietor tax ID numbers that are tied to your social security number. And in the 14 years that I have been filling out 1099s for my clients, I have never once received a CP 200 on my when I give myself a 1099 on behalf of my client, and I have put in my tax ID number, because the tax ID number is still tied to me. So that's what I do. And if you read the letter of the rules, you're supposed to put your social security number in. But I think it's just, I really think it's too risky to do that. All right, so let's use this as an example. In 2020, I elected S Corp status on behalf of my company. So, whoops, I guess I didn't copy the business name. We don't need that jot form in there. So now my business files its own tax return on the 1120S. It is not incorporated into my 1040. So we fill out an 1120S. And I put my company name in there. Always, I am legally set up as an LLC. So LLC is always a part of my business name. But now I mark this like this. So I mark that I'm a limited liability company, and my tax classification is an S corporation. And now I am required to put in my tax number. I'm not going to put my tax number out on the on YouTube, but if you want to send me mail, you've got my mailing address. I like Christmas cards with gift cards in them. Cash works too. So now we move to part 2, the certification. So under penalty of perjury, I certify that the number on this form is the correct tax ID number, or I am waiting for a number to be issued to me, and I am not subject to backup withholdings because A, I am exempt from backup withholdings, or B, I have not been notified by the IRS that I am subject to backup withholdings as a result of failure to report all interest or dividends, or the IRS has notified me that I am no longer subject to backup withholdings, and I am a US citizen or other US person defined below, and the FACTA code entered on this form, if any, indicating that I am exempt from FACTA reporting is correct. Now, this is a part I did skip over